शिकारी इतिहास तब तक लिखता है जब तक शेर इतिहास लिखना न सीखे, पर उस शेर को क्या कहा जाए जो स्वयं अपना नैरेटिव शिकारी के हाथ में दे देता है। कोई भी राष्ट्र, चाहे वो इंडस्ट्री, कॉमर्स, साइंस, टेक्नोलॉजी, मिलिट्री में कितना आगे क्यों ना हो, जब तक वो अपनी कहानी अपने तरीके से कहना नहीं सीखता, तब तक ग्लोबल डोमिनेंस की आशा नहीं कर सकता है। नैरेटिव्स आर नॉट ऑलवेज द ट्रूथ, they're only a way of showing of superiority of culture, value and goal over others। और इनसे निकला हुआ परसेप्शन देश के प्रोजेक्शन में काफ़ी काम आता है। जो वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड है उसने टीवी, सिनेमा और इंटरनेट का यूज़ किया है अपने को सुपीरियर दिखाने में और अपने वैल्यूज़ को प्रोजेक्ट करने में दूसरे देशों के सामने। दूसरी तरफ भारत अपनी कहानी कहने में असफल रहता है। इसका कारण शायद हमारा कॉलोनियल माइंडसेट से उतरा हुआ एक डिफेंसिवनेस या हीन भावना कही जा सकती है। IC814 की कहानी भी कुछ वैसी ही है। When you play liberally with the facts, you should play with those facts in a positive manner rather than a negative manner, जैसा कि सीरीज में किया गया है। जो वेस्टर्न मूवीज ऑन दी अदर हैंड, जैसे आर्गो हुई, 0-30 हुई, ये मैं कुछ नाम आपको गिना रहा हूँ, जिनमें दे हैव ऑल्सो प्लेड लिबरली विद द फैक्ट्स बट इन अ पॉजिटिव मैनर। उससे उनके देश, उनकी सोसाइटी का प्रोजेक्शन हमेशा पॉजिटिव रहता है, एक पॉजिटिव नैरेटिव जाता है। तो आज इस नैरेटिव वॉर पर चर्चा करने के लिए हम जुड़ रहे हैं श्री विक्रम सूद से, जो R&AW के पूर्व चीफ रह चुके हैं। श्री सूद की पुस्तक द अल्टीमेट गोल्स नैरेटिव वॉर पे एक मास्टरपीस है। तो आइए हम जुड़ते हैं श्री विक्रम सूद से। नमस्कार एंड वेलकम टू संवाद सर।
नमस्कार।
Sir, to start off with the Slavoj Žižek, in his book Welcome to the Desert of the Real, wrote how the Pentagon used Hollywood, he said, to function as an ideological state apparatus. Nicholas Shue has also written as to how CIA has used Hollywood to present itself and America in a rosy manner. The movie Argo, directed by Ben Affleck, took liberties with the truth to make CIA look heroic and won 3 Academy Awards. So it's all done, I believe, to present the West in a positive manner. On the other hand, when we come to the Indian popular media or popular cinema, I would say we have the very recent example of this series on Netflix, IC814, the KANDAHAR hijack. We also take liberties with the truth, but we present ourselves in a very negative manner, our bureaucracy, our system in a very bumbling manner. How do you analyze this contrasting approach, sir? And how does it affect the Indian narrative?
Good question. I'll go into some detail a little later. Well, let me tell you, in my book, you might have read it, The Ultimate Goal. Chapter 3 is the Hollywood narrative. It's how Hollywood, what do I call it? The Hollywood narrative factory. CIA, Pentagon, they actually used to have, probably still do, a liaison man posted in Hollywood to either advise them on movies or to correct it or to give ideas. So that's how closely the system works. हमारे यहाँ तो आप किसी को बिठा के देखो तब बॉलीवुड में it's an attitude of mind. Argos and IC814 show you how our minds work. They want to give the positive. They want to give a positive spin. They want to tell you how good we are. इतनी सी बात को बना के, you make it into bravery. Actually, the other thing that must be said in their favor is that they went into it in great detail before doing this. The CIA had opened a dummy company for this kind of trade of making movies, and it looked so good and so promising that somewhere I read that Steven Spielberg also approached that factory, that business house, for a joint venture. They were so good, so professional about the whole thing. And that company was then, along with, the story, the Canadians were called in and they went into Tehran. Now, how much is true, how much is not true, I don't know. But there is an element of truth which they've used. And they've used it profitably in the sense of not only getting academic awards, but also to be able to show to the world how good we are. और हमने क्या किया? Totally ulta. Totally. I mean, where was the need to show that poor co-pilot crying? You're in a crisis situation and you got a man crying. What is the imagery? What is the imagery of the last scene of showing that Nepal is being tortured to death? What's the idea? What are you telling? That Indo-Nepal relation mein gadbad ho jaye? And then you do not give the real names of the terrorists, the hijackers. Why? They do not show that the ISI was at Kandahar airport to take these three jokers away. गले मिले थे. ये नहीं दिखाया. Now, if you want to show a serial, then show it properly. Yeah? Don't make it into an agenda. This is a negative agenda. So, if you want to be a power in the future, want to have interests in different countries, there will be more obstacles to us. So you must be able to develop your own story. अगर हम खुद नहीं लिखेंगे तो कौन लिखेगा? अमेरिका बहादुर तो आगे नहीं आपको लिखेगा कहानी आपकी, उल्टा ही बनाएगा वो. तो हम खुद ही नहीं करेंगे तो कौन करेगा? So, I don't know how this thing was passed. I believe that in earlier, the OTTs could be cleared without censor board clearance. But I believe since 23N, it is being changed. Now they have to refer. So was it referred? I don't know. These are small, not just minute things, but the overall picture is negative.
सर जो आपने कहा
मुझे तो I didn't like that movie.
Was it referred, सर? और एक दूसरा एस्पेक्ट है सर, did somebody bother to basically fact check, सर? फैक्ट चेक आजकल तो सोशल मीडिया पे सब जगह फैक्ट चेक्स होते हैं सर. तो जो भी
कुछ नहीं
सेंसर
किया
में
लगता. कुछ नहीं किया लगता. This was, yes, means that there was a preset agenda to make this and push it through. And otherwise, you start fact checking, you will find that this is not how it was. They could have at least read that book, Nilesh Mishra's book, 173 Days in Captivity or something like that. He had written in 2000 maybe. That has a picture. वो सब हमने नहीं किया, इसी को पकड़ के जो बनाना था बना लिया.
सर तो हम कहाँ फॉल्टर करते हैं सर?
हाँ?
हम कहाँ
कहाँ
फॉल्टर जी, कहाँ कहाँ गलतियां होती हैं?
I think it's हिंदुस्तानी है ना, सब ठीक है यार, चलता है, बना दो कहानी. Nobody wants to take the pains, take the boring task of researching and questioning, cross-examining, or rechecking facts, going into खाली Wikipedia पे जाके तो नहीं हो जाएगा ना check. You have to go to the original source and check. And then you'll know whether what happened, what did not happen, what could have been avoided, why wasn't it avoided. It did nothing. I think one evening they sat down and wrote. It is in us. We don't go into details. We don't go into facts. We argue on sentiment.
And ideology, sir.
हाँ. वो बनाना है, खराब है ये लोग, इनको why do you show them looking so unhealthy, careless, and little things they do which are wrong in my intelligence world. We don't click heels, we don't salute. Only the armed forces do it. वो जाके मिलता है, you show him an office which is the size of my dining table, the chief. You know, these things matter to an audience, an Indian audience, that what does the chief's office look like? For some time, I didn't know that was supposed to be the chief's office. And I was saying, I thought, like, you know, somebody just sitting and signing papers, and this chappie appears, they have a discussion, and he clicks his heels and goes away. So, attention to detail, attention to facts is missing. Once you have those facts and you have those details, then you can play around with the story. Otherwise, you're merely playing around with fiction and your preconceived ideas, which is a deadly combination. तो अनलेस आप थोड़ा तकलीफ लें, थोड़ा स्टडी करें कि देखिए बात असल में क्या हुई, किसने किसको क्या कहा. आते ना दिल्ली, किसी से बात करते. Now newspapers are writing stories about it. Everybody is writing stories. Why didn't they do all that before? They would have avoided all that. So there have been very good productions in my knowledge. Madras Cafe was a good one. We could have, we should have movies. Wednesday was a good movie. It held your interest. It looked realistic. So we are not all James Bonds. And there is no Ursula Andress in our movies. But we have to be realistic. Those are all make-believe stories meant to attract audiences. Those are money spinners. They're good for the box office, but not good for reality. People come and ask me, "Oh, wo kaisa tha?" What do you say? So I don't know. I think it was not a. I wouldn't recommend this to anyone.
Sir, and मेरा एक perception था. I thought, sir, there is a bit of a mischief also going around, sir. You don't name the hijackers. Fair enough, sir. You say that it's fiction and all that stuff. Code name था ये था. And then वहाँ पे fiction है, sir. मतलब आप historical fact है कि sir वो cabin crew वही नाम सुन रहा था, या जो hijacked और लोग थे वो वही नाम सुन रहे थे. But bureaucrats, when it comes to the bureaucrats, वो totally fictionalized हो जाते हैं, sir. All of them are fictionalized, sir. So ये सर की जो half full half empty वाला जो कॉन्सेप्ट है कि मे बी टू अवॉइड डेफर्मेशन, कि कल कोई डेफर्मेशन ना कर दे सर मेरे ऊपर. So it shows a bit of mischief also.
No, that's you taking shortcuts, man. You're all the time taking shortcuts instead of going to the person that they're supposed to be representing on the screen and say, "This is what I'm saying. Is this correct or not? Can I put it differently?" वो तो आप करते नहीं. अपने दिमाग में जो आया बना दिया, फिर यार इसको ऐसा नहीं लिखेंगे, ऐसे लिखेंगे नहीं तो काम का बलबला हो जाएगा, तो छोड़ दो, तो घुमा दो कहानी को. Then you find something else being said or discussed or talked. And this is professional नहीं था.
सर तो इसको एक्सटेंड करते हैं सर थोड़ा फर्दर सर. यू एज द RNAW चीफ सर, when you see the RNAW agents dancing on screen with ISI agents, mostly females, sir, all heroines dancing on screen and saving the world together. The intention is for the RNAW and ISI to come together and save the world from evil. And there is a movie in which the evil is a rogue RNAW agent, and they are saving the world from an RNAW agent, sir.
Sir, they are rescuing the RNAW agent. No?
Sir,
वो क्या था? Gone rogue.
Yes, sir. So मेरा प्रश्न इसमें ये था, sir, do you see this as innocence, naivety, or there is something more than the innocence of naivety? ये जो मासूमियत इनके दिखाते हैं कि हम बड़े मासूम हैं, सर, हम तो एक फिक्शनल कर रहे हैं. There's something more, because what we are doing is basically legitimizing an organization which has visceral hatred for India, sir. And what does it do for somebody who does not know this narrative? How it works?
No, it is definitely harmful to the imagery of the country, that you're showing that guy who's been sending terrorists to your country, killing innocents, as a in a favorable light, and अपना जो है उसको आपने बेवकूफ दिखा दिया है, या स्टूपिड दिखा दिया है, या विलन दिखा दिया. हाँ. But you know, Mayank, you go back to the 50s or the 60s. Who used to be the good guy? You have three guys to choose: the good guy, the villain, and the mischievous fellow, the rogue. Huh? The rogue would always be an Hindu. Okay? Or a Pandit. ये शुरू से है. This is only an extension of that. It is not innocent. Partly, you want to, this is fake liberalism. Put on liberalism. But actually it isn't. They are deliberate, they are intelligent human beings. They make good movies, so they don't understand this. That consistently you do it in a particular way. एक आधा हो गया, चले जाएगा. You want to make a movie to tell everybody that we are playing even playing field. But not like this. This is not an even playing field. And it's happening in your country. It's not even happening in that country. वो तो बनाते ही नहीं फिल्में. वो हमारी फिल्में देखते हैं. So it is not, you can't call a 40-year-old, 50-year-old human being as being naive and innocent and unaware of the consequences of what he's saying or doing. I mean, it just can't be. वैसे तो बहुत अकल है, पैसा बनाने में कैसे लगेगा, सब ठीक ठाक है. Then our audiences also go and see the same film again and again. वो भी तो है, because it sells, we don't mind. They were shown like this. And वो एक बनाई थी इन्होंने फिल्म में, क्या टाइगर, एक था टाइगर.
टाइगर जिंदा है.
एक था टाइगर, टाइगर जिंदा है. I saw एक the tiger. I didn't see Tiger Zinda. I gave up after the first one. Make it real. Even you can have those fancy yachts and fancy that and this and that and the other, but make the theme real, plausible. Do the research. किसी से आके पूछ लो यार, बता देंगे वो कि ऐसे नहीं होता है, ऐसे होता है. Then you can do work a story on that kind of a thing. They don't do that. They think they know everything.
Sir, why I ask these questions, sir, इसके पीछे भी है, sir, the younger group, sir, they say the around 20s जो बच्चे हैं, sir, आजकल, sir, most of them are dependent on social media, on movies to gather information, sir. किताबों पढ़ने का प्रचलन बहुत कम होता चला जा रहा है. So most of them are dependent on these medium also.
Yeah.
अभी सर मेरा कुछ बच्चों से इंटरेक्शन हुआ था, सर. कंदहर सॉरी, आई एम सॉरी सर, कारगिल वॉर को लेकर डिस्कशन था, सर. These children, very bright children, otherwise, sir, academically very bright children, were not aware of the location of Kargil. One of them answered कि Kargil राजस्थान में है, sir. So once we feed these children information of this sort being done right now through movies, OTT platform, एक दूसरे न्यूसेंस होते चले जा रहे हैं. I mean, I'm scared of the end result, sir.
Yeah, because social media has now taken over all the means of teaching, and we haven't built our own platforms at all. We're only relying on the West. वो बनाते हैं, we use that. Netflix, what is the other thing? The Amazon Prime, and all of them, they're selling you their story. Why should they sell my story? And history is a subject, these things. Jo Kargil hua was 25 years ago, 26, 25, 26 years ago, 99. Many of the youngsters were born after that. So we haven't taught them history.
Yes, sir.
And I believe our school books still have remarkable inadequacies or inaccuracies in our books about history. We don't mention some of our leaders. We give two more pages to Indian cricket than to Subhash Chandra Bose or Bhagat Singh. So if that is what you're writing in your history books for schools to be used in Indian schools, how are you going to teach them anything? Because that thing, if you're going to be teaching on the screen, then that thing will get reflected on the screen. वही तो आएगा. जब आपने गार्बेज डाला है तो गार्बेज ही निकलेगा ना. So we have to teach our children what happened. Idealization of heroes is necessary. Why do we remember those young captains of Kargil? What did they do? We have to dramatize that. We have to show those kinds of things.
Yes, sir.
Not this IC814. You can make IC814. It can be done better. It can be. There were mistakes. Of course, there were mistakes. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened. But you're dealing with a human situation. So deal with it on a level playing field. That's not too much to ask. पर हमारे यहाँ जब आप सारा टाइम अपने सेल फोन पे लगे रहेंगे या वो करते रहेंगे तो आपको नॉलेज तो वही मिलेगी जो दे रहे हैं वो लोग. And you read some of the articles that appear in the Western press about us. So we'll talk about that later. But so far as I'm now concerned, that movies, films, the audiovisual impression is this one that lasts the longest. It hits you first and it lasts the longest. You may not remember the relevance of the context, but you remember the story. What it conveyed. So we have to make use of that for our own, shall I say, security or our well-being. So we have to be able to make use of this, swim with the tide, not against it. And the boat rises, the river rises, you should rise, not go under. हम तो नेगेटिविटी में जाते हैं ना.
तो मिस्टेक्स तो सर 9/11 में भी हुई थी सर, पर फिर एक मूवी बनती है 0-30 जो CIA को जितना हीरोइक दिखाती है, द वे दे परसू ओसामा बिन लादेन. यू मस्ट हैव फॉलोड दिस इशू वेरी क्लोजली. मूवी बड़ी अच्छी बनती है सर, बड़ी ग्राफिक है.
Movie is a superbly handled movie.
Very haunting, sir. At times there are scenes of torture which normal person cannot handle. Just the visuals say only. So how truthful was 0-13 depicting the truth?
The truth was that blue SEALs came and killed Osama bin Laden. Okay, that is the truth.
That is the truth.
That is the truth.
But
that is the basic.
What is the story?
And the other truth is it was Obama's next term coming up. Okay, there's a second truth. I am not going to believe whatever you may tell me or anybody tells me that the Pakistan army did not know where Osama bin Laden was staying, because how did he get into that big house of his? They knew everything. And I would go along more with the Seymour Hersh story, which says that there was a walk-in into the Pakistani embassy in Islamabad. That for a certain amount of money, I think it is $10 million, they fixed the rate.
25
I don't
million,
remember.
Sir. 25
million.
25.
20. I'm prepared to tell you where he is. Okay. Now, do you think the army chief and the ISI chief didn't know where Osama bin Laden was? When the Americans were carrying out a hunt all over the world and they couldn't find him? Somewhere I had written, but I can't locate it. But I'll tell you, I wrote once that Osama bin Laden will be found when it's convenient to find him. Okay, so words that I wish I get that, I'll show it to you. But that is how it was. Do you think? And it was also a justification for extreme torture. That you got information from these fellows after we had treated them the way we did. So you whitewash that aspect. So multiple purposes है movie के. But the truth is that Osama bin Laden was killed. Whether he was drowned in the sea or drowned somewhere else, I don't know that. But he was killed there.
And the ironical truth, to me at least, sir, seems that the defenders of the Islamic faith, the Pakistani army, sold off one of the, what should I say, the modern day warriors of the Islamic faith.
No, he was an icon, iconic
and they sold him off.
Huh?
So
much, सब शेयर किया होगा ना.
So much so for faith, sir. Moving on, sir. Next, हम लोग आगे
and also remember,
sir,
it was a dark night. Not a single plane flew. Not a radar squeaked. And the things came in. One helicopter was shot down or fell down. Nobody came to rescue them. And they were, 2 kilometers from Abbottabad, the garrison headquarters. Nobody came. The
roads were also closed, I believe, sir.
सब कुछ बंद था.
सब कुछ बंद था.
सन्नाटा था.
बहुत
सन्नाटा था एकदम. रात भी, I think, गहरी रात थी. Dark night.
Yes.
और वो अपने प्रेसिडेंट साहब कंट्रोल रूम में बैठे देख रहे हैं क्या हो रहा है.
सर वही जो आपकी बुक में भी आपने लिखा है, सर, दैट इज व्हाट नैरेटिव बिल्डिंग इज ऑल अबाउट.
कहानी कैसे गढ़ते हैं आप?
जी सर. सर अगला प्रश्न थोड़ा और हम लोग लेके चले सर CIA पे. सर how deep is the effort by the CIA, or for that matter any intelligence agency in a democracy, we're not talking of autocracy, sir, to manufacture the truth, to mold public opinion using other media platforms? Now, how can, and the following question, sir, मैं एक साथ ही आपके सर रख दूंगा कि democracy, sir, how will they flourish if this manipulation of truth goes beyond a reasonable deviation?
You are right about the second part, that you can manipulate the truth up to a point, but where it ceases to be the truth anymore, then you have played with democracy. But when you are interested in control and dominance, कैसे आता है वो? 3 चीजें चाहिए आपको. पैसा, आर्म्स और ओपिनियन. कैसे आप ओपिनियन बढ़ते हैं? हाउ डू यू sell the story, selling it right? So it's now they say that Ukraine is not about Russia. That's the storyline now. Ukraine is about the minerals. Ukraine is about destroying that country. So you expend arms, ammunition, never mind the Ukrainians killed. You do that, and then you give more money to reconstruct. And all that money is going to be given to American companies to reconstruct. क्या समझे आप? कहानी तो वहीं आ गई ना. You want to control, you must have the money. If you have the money, you will have the weapons and the means to use them. If you have the means to use them, you can control. So that's how the system works. And it's ये इलेक्शन लड़ रहे हैं दोनों, Monsieur Trump and Madame Harris. But who are they? And why is it that after every election, US policy follows two tram lines in between that, parallel lines? Maybe you deviate a bit to the left, a bit to the right. But your interests, your goals never change. हमारे यहाँ तो चेंज हो जाते हैं ना, उल्टा हो जाता है. We take a somersault. They follow the same path. American national interest first, full stop. How you do it is another matter. So if that is the agreement, then there has to be other understanding between the systems. Today a man is working in an NGO, tomorrow is working in the State Department, day after is working in a think tank, fourth day is working in a corporate company. Maybe it is Lockheed Martin. Then he goes to Rand Corporation, then he goes to CFR, and then he comes back to the State Department or Pentagon. So these are the workhorses that put in ideas, that work on ideas. So the system is very well oiled, and that's been there for years and years. And Eisenhower had warned them, but that's now become much bigger. You only talk about military industry. Now you have technology, artificial intelligence, you have mineral resources, whatever you need to be big, to retain your primacy, you have to do it now. And you'll find a country called India is trying to be independent. It's trying to follow an independent path. They don't grudge our economic progress so much as the fact that we will want to follow, be independent. We'll go to Russia, we'll go to Ukraine, we'll go and meet somebody else. ये नाराज थे कि हमने उसको जप्ती क्यों पाई यार, मोदी ने पुतिन को. So he went and hugged Zelensky. बराबर, ठीक है. You know, they have the idea that you can still box in Russia by capturing everything around the Black Sea. Ukraine ले लिया, Georgia ले लिया, Crimea ले लिया, Turkey तो है ही तुम्हारे साथ, more or less. So you think you bottled Russia in there, but now the Arctic is melting. It's not climatically good, perhaps, but it's strategically an open route now. And it has also proven, to my mind, that the Americans overestimated their capabilities vis-a-vis Russia and underestimated Russian resilience and determination. And it is not an unprovoked war. Putin had warned them at least since 2007, don't do Ukraine. And William Burns, who is now the CIA head, who was my ambassador in Moscow, had written to State Department, don't touch Ukraine. It's a niet. Don't do it. That George Kennan had said this, the master of the Cold War, don't do it. But nahi, karna hai. Now you got this situation, and I think I digressed. Sorry. What was it? We started off somewhere else, and I got into this. We're talking about narratives, how useful and how it should be done. Narrative building can be two kinds: short-term or long term, or permanent, shall we say. Short-term है, you want to invade Iraq, you want वजह चाहिए आपको, तो आपने शोर मचा दिया, वेपन्स ऑफ मास डिस्ट्रक्शन बना रहा है सद्दाम, और उसने अल कायदा को भी पनाह दे रखी है, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह. तो कहानी बेचते हैं, हम सब जगह बेचते हैं, ढोल ढोल बजा के. And once the raid is and the army forces land, that story is dumped because there are no WMDs. There are Al-Qaeda है नहीं वहां पे. तो लड़ाई शुरू हो गई. And whatever happens, लड़ाई का नतीजा क्या होता है वो तो सब कोई जानता है क्या हुआ. और पिटपिटा के आ गए. शिया को दे दिया इराक. And but the Shias had become the rulers of Iraq after a long time. So that is the short term, like they did in Vietnam. Short term on the boat attack on the, I forget the name of the naval destroyer. They said that North Vietnamese had attacked. So they attacked Vietnam and the war started again. दूसरा है लॉन्ग टर्म. आपको कंट्रोल रखना है दुनिया पे. तो what do you need for that? You have to be superior, no? You have to be powerful. You have to have money to be appear to be charitable. So you make a narrative about protecting democracies all over the world. Huh? And the irony is that you use dictators in your alliance to bring democracy to Soviet Union. Okay? That was the big fight. No, the Cold War. One of the ideologies behind the Cold War. Actually, it's a battle of control and how best to exercise control. उसके लिए आपको permanent कहानी बनानी है. अब ब्रिटिश ने हमारे ऊपर राज कैसे किया? Display of white superiority, using the Indian to control the other Indian, because they couldn't possibly have sent troops to control the crores of Indians living all over the huge area. So they used Indians to control other Indians. Similarly, the same thing happened in America. They used the locals to spread their control over the rest of the continent of America. So this long term जो है आपका literature भी उसमें आएगा, Nobel Prize किसको देंगे, weapons किसके होंगे, and dollar is the mightiest currency in the world. So you got levers of power to spread the word. Then you have massive think tanks that weave into the system of governance or strategy. You know, all the various think tanks in America are somehow connected with the system. They may be, one side may be favoring Republican, the other side favors Democrat, but they're all there. So जब Republican Party आती है तो the Republican right-wing think tanks get more prominence. When the Democrats come, it's the other way around. Some continue forever, like the Council on Foreign Relations. It's the most powerful think tank. And it is sometimes called Wall Street's think tank, because it's linked into the money matters, money schemes. So these are things that they use. Newspapers are free in a manner of speaking, but they have an idea about what they can say, what they shouldn't be saying. Shouldn't be saying. I'm not saying cannot say, but should not be saying. I wish we would learn that. There are times when you don't need to say something. There are times when you need to say something. And this, otherwise, if the state interferes, फिर वो censorship बन जाती है. फिर आपको कहेंगे कि आप freedom of speech को तंग कर रहे हैं. A lot of it has to be voluntary. A lot of it has to be, particularly, I'm a person from that business, so I would say that particularly on security matters. But these days, the word security is also rather wide. All embracing money matters, political issues, what happens in Bengal is a concern for everybody. 2015, there was an article in an American paper which said that, is it a Muslim West Bengal or something like that? 2015 में बोला उन्होंने, हमने उसका, did we take notice of that? Maybe we did, I don't know, but I'm just asking a rhetorical question. हुआ होगा, हमने उसको, we would have either debunked it or said, no, this chap is talking through his hat, whatever. But this is the kind of thinking that is going on. They are building a narrative against you. They are building a narrative against China, against Russia. And they also, I think they know that the ability to influence the world now is becoming restricted in this age of technology and social media. पहले तो अखबार पे हम कहते थे ना, शुरुआत अरे बीबीसी ने बोला था, सही बोला होगा, बाकी को हम, now when you say BBC, I don't want to listen to that. I want to have my own news. I'd rather go to social media and check it out, because I have somebody who, might find people who are speaking the truth there. That is how things have changed. And the more restricted their ability to influence becomes, 750 bases all over the world, the globe divided into commands, and you still have fellows who don't pay attention to you, who do what they want to do. Well, that's not acceptable if you want to be the permanent hegemon. But it's getting restricted. And if you find the Indians are getting economically stronger, they want to be number 3 in the category of economic nations, and it's not a good sign. 2 Asian countries, same time, not a good sign. So you will have problems in the head.
Sir, you just spoke of hegemon, sir. Cold War yaad aata hai, when there were 2 hegemons, sir, NATO versus Warsaw. The whole narrative war was played between these 2 hegemons. Now it's a bit democratic, sir. NATO exist कर रहा है, expand किया हुआ है, sir. Russia है, sir, in replacing the Warsaw countries. China है, Iran, एक pact कह सकते हैं, sir, unofficial. And then a rising India. Sir, how is this war in this age, narrative war in this age being played? और भारत को क्या करना होगा, sir, catch up करने के लिए?
The thing is that most of the narrative building is done in the English language, I think. What the Russians are writing in Russian, we don't know. We don't know what the Chinese are writing in Chinese for their own people in Russia. What we are doing is we're relying on what they say in Russia today, for instance, what they write, and what the Chinese write in the Chinese People's Daily or Globe. क्या है उसका जो Hong Kong में based है, Globe and Mail, or I don't know. No, that is not. These are the papers that give out the Chinese version. But it's still not fashionable to listen to these. It is BBC, CNN, New York Times. हमारी तो जान निकल जाती है, उसने आर्टिकल लिख दिया हमारे खिलाफ. It's meant for their own audiences, they write. They're not bothered about us. They are telling their own people how to handle India, what's wrong with them, what they perceive it to be wrong. So we have to, that is the narrative that is being built there against us. एक तरफ तो आपको corporate world will give you high ratings. They will occasionally comment on how well the Indian economy is doing. But politically, militarily, they will keep turning the screws. We have to manage that. We can't stop it. We can't ask them not to do it. आप अपना counter narrative बना सकते हैं तो बनाइए. unless your voice is heard loud and clear by as many people as possible, ऐसे ही चलेगा.
सर इसमें एक दूसरा
नहीं.
प्रॉब्लम आता है, जब आप अपनी वॉइस, व्हेन यू वांट योर वॉइस टू बी हर्ड, एक रजीम चेंज का एक मूवमेंट शुरू हो जाता है सर. कि अब आप मुझसे बेहतर जानते हैं सर इश्यूज को सर, तो उसको कैसे टैकल किया जाए सर? ये तो एक रिलेंटलेस वॉर है फिर.
Regime change is a double-edged weapon. Where have they succeeded? Momentarily they succeed.
यस सर.
I mean, what has happened to Zelensky? He was there, man, in 2014, thereabouts, he was brought in. And what has he done? What have they done for him? They tried in they tried in Libya, they tried in Syria, they tried in Iran, Iraq. नहीं बना ना. But the idea कि हमने करना है, because that's the best way to handle this country I think it's a misplaced conception these days. वो Iran 1953, yeah, Iran 1953, yeah, Europe in the early 50s, Cold War days, those are different days. People are more alert. But there is also, you cannot organize a regime change in another country unless you have some people singing your tune. You'll have to do it with some local help. अपने आप से तो नहीं होगी ना. They're not landing troops. They can have an NGO or two who can talk a bit about religion and so on and so forth. But you must have people on the ground who are going to play your tune. That's the one you have to control. वरना नहीं होगा, उसके बिना नहीं होगा. अगर आप उसको कंट्रोल कर लेंगे तो ठीक हो जाएगा. That probably sound like would be anti-free speech, but there is free speech and there is free speech. I am authorized to criticize my government. That is my right. I'm authorized to get angry with my government. That is my right. But I'm not authorized to sign in with somebody else from outside and say, I'll topple you. That's not on. अपने घर में आप लड़ते हैं, लड़िए. That's my right, fundamental right. I won't vote for you if I don't want to vote for you. You let me down. That's also my right. But if you're going to tie up with external sources and trying to make things change here, that is not in my book. Not in my book. So let's see how we play this. It's for the politicians to decide. हम तो अपने जो मर्जी बोल के चले जाएंगे.
सर एक आखिरी सवाल आपसे. हम लोगों ने मूवीज से स्टार्ट किया था, मूवीज पे एंड करेंगे सर. बहुत सीरियस बात हो गई सर, थोड़ी और सीरियस बात. शाहरुख खान और सलमान खान ने सर RNAW एजेंट्स को काफी ग्लैमराइज कर दिया है सर. बहुत ज्यादा सर. आपने खुद ही कहा यूजिंग यॉचेस एंड एक्सपेंसिव दिस दैट सर. हाउ टफ is the life of an RAW agent, sir, working in some alien land?
When you say agent, you mean the officer or the spy?
An officer, sir.
Because we don't call them agents.
नहीं
call
sir.
them
I'm using the usual movie के जो शब्द हैं.
है ना, वो तो हाँ ठीक है. No, the life depends on which country you are in. Which country you are in, and nobody likes his country to be spied upon. So you start off with that disadvantage. And if you are working in a non-government cover, then it's even more difficult. But In a closed society, you have different kinds of threats. You know you are being watched. You know you are being followed or obstructed, even in countries like Pakistan. In the West, they have other means of keeping a watch on you. They have technical means to do it. And these days, everything can be relayed through your mobile phone, so it's okay. They can watch you. So they will let you do all that, provided you're not doing anything serious. But life is not as tough in the West. हमारे तो our neighboring countries are the more important countries for us to keep a watching or about. And it can be very tough days. They can be happy days. You take both as they come. Carry on. It's never a dull moment.
थैंक यू सो मच सर। अब इसी आंसर के साथ सर इस टॉपिक को आई वुड लाइक टू कंक्लूड एंड थैंक यू फॉर स्पेयरिंग टाइम फॉर अस। और आपके पास आते रहेंगे और भी जानकारी लेने, बिकॉज दिस नैरेटिव वॉर हैज टू बी प्लेड आउट एंड ऑल ऑफ अस आई बिलीव शुड बी प्लेइंग आवर रोल इन इट। थैंक यू सो मच। थैंक यू। नमस्ते।
Take care. Namaskar.